Welcome to Surviving the Side Hustle, the podcast for high performers who've gone all in, but still feeling a little stuck. I'm your host, Rob Tracy, coach, speaker, and creator of the Prime Performance Process. If you're a solopreneur, small business owner, or just launched your side hustle and you're tired of grinding with no momentum, this is for you. Every week, we bring you guests that have broke the code, generated momentum, and finally got unstuck. And we're diving into their stories, their struggles, and their secrets to generating massive momentum in both their personal and professional lives. We don't do fluff here. We do frameworks, real talk, and share the kind of insights that get you unstuck for good. Welcome, and let's get rolling. But before we dive in, I gotta remind you, if you're overwhelmed, spinning your wheels, or just tired of hustling without the results, it's time for a Prime Performance Strategy session. In this free call, we'll zoom out on your life and business, identify the real reason you're feeling stuck, and build a game plan to help you reclaim your confidence, energy, and gain some clarity so you can get back to doing what you set out to do. Lead, grow, and thrive. This isn't surface level coaching. It's a system built on resilience, intentionality, clarity, and alignment. So head over to survivingthesidehustle.com/free call to grab your spot today. Again, that's survivingthesidehustle.com/free call. Let's get going and help you look good, feel good, and do great things. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Surviving the Side Hustle. I'm really excited because today we've got Beth Mielbrecht on, and she's an incredible individual because she's a health coach with a background that might surprise you. Before stepping into the world of holistic health, Beth spent 35 years as a mechanical engineer, a problem solver by trade who understands systems, structure, and how things work from the ground up. But what makes Beth's work so powerful is that she never abandoned that identity. Instead, she layered it with deep knowledge of the body, energy medicine, and healing, helping entrepreneurs understand that health isn't separate from their business performance. It's actually the foundation. So if you are somebody who is building something meaningful and ignoring your body in the process, this episode is powerful, and to stay tuned and enjoy this. So Beth, appreciate you being here. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, Rob. I'm so happy to be here. I'm doing really well.
Awesome. So as our previous conversation that you and I have had, and I kind of mentioned it into the intro just a second ago, you spent decades as a mechanical engineer. So I want to just dive in right off the bat. So how did that shape how you see the human body?
Well, I'm a mechanical engineer, and we're the ones that build things. It's very tangible. It's very practical. And if something's broken, you want a mechanical engineer in your life who's going to fix your car, who's going to fix your appliances, who's going to dive in and figure it out. It's going to fix your heating system. Those are very practical, tangible things. And when it came to health, if something didn't feel right, I dove right in. Well, why is this? And I knew that problems have solutions, and it's just in my nature to find it. So I've taken that approach with my health, with taking care of the health of my family for decades. And now I offer that to other people because it's not that mysterious. You can figure this out. People might say, oh, there's nothing you can do. That's not true. It's a problem and we can solve it.
Yeah, I mean, I love that mindset there. That's perfect. And I often, or too often, because I too have a background in kind of like the health world. I have a master's in exercise science. So to me, it comes like second nature, and I almost have like the curse of knowledge. So to me, it's like common sense, but so many people kind of struggle with that, and they oftentimes push their own health to the side while they're still grinding and building things. And I want to ask, before we kind of dive and go off a tangent there, I want to rewind a second here, and I want to ask you, when did health stop becoming a personal interest for you? And when did it become part of your professional mission?
It really became something I wanted to do to help people beyond my immediate family when I was hearing too often from my team that they were sick or not feeling well and didn't know what to do. And I didn't cross a line with my team to become their health coach, but I did drop a few hints. But with my extended friends and family, when there was always this irritation of a migraine that always came up every week, and or someone who has arthritis in her hips and so said, well, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. I'm like, oh, there's so many things you could do. We haven't even started talking about all the amazing work that can be done to get that waste moving and even really what it is. So it shifted when I found that there was a lack of willingness to solve this problem. And then when I came across a technology that really allowed me to amplify what I was doing and get answers quicker. So I have a skill stack, and then something came into my world and I said, this is it. This is the combination of things that I can offer to someone that's going to make a transformation possible.
Oh, nice. So can you walk me through that process a little bit more? So you're curious, you're paying attention to your health, you're like, where are you learning all of these skills, and how is that carrying over? Because I imagine, I mean, I didn't learn too much about mechanical engineering, I guess, during studying exercise science. We did learn some stuff about like biomechanics and stuff like that, but not as much as I imagine what you had gone through. So, where did you start to kind of pay more attention and get more interest into this, and really develop that skill set?
Not from school. No, school will not teach you these things. You find out these things because you're interested. I've been studying with a renegade naturopath for quite a long time. I would seek out different experts in fields. I've reading books, taking courses back before social media. That's how you accessed wisdom. Some people would go to India and study yoga. I would take a course with a hormone expert when I was in my 30s because I thought it was cool. Like,
Mm.
hey, I've got hormones. Shouldn't I know how this works? Learning anatomy. I did not learn anatomy, but every time I went to the chiropractor, I was memorizing those posters on the wall, and then I would pick things up. So the skills that I developed were first to take care of myself, and that was I tried every diet. I loved it. Like what do foods do to me? Um, does plant-based eating work? Does local eating work? How do I feel? I would try out all kinds of things, and I was just an N of one. And when it expanded to my family, there was more, and I used hands-on healing. I used Reiki to take care of my son and my husband, and then homeopathy. So I became a homeopath and took care of my family that way. So there's definitely already a sense of understanding energy. I understand it from an electromagnetic perspective, both seen and unseen, from the electricity that's in the walls that's making your computer power up and charging up all your gadgets, to the energy, how it's running in the body. Then I started studying Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine. I I know homeopathy very well, the others only slightly, but all of those things are looking at the body from an energetic standpoint. And then a couple years ago, I was studying something and somebody else they had a certification program. I didn't want to go through that. I said, I just want to talk to somebody and ask some questions. So I booked a session with a naturopath, and she told me about this tool that she had. She said you would be perfect for it. That was the bioenergetic testing. That was exactly what worked to layer in the ability to ask questions and get information. It's complicated. It works great with my mind, and it's another form of energy work. So that was the other piece that I added in. So the way I develop these skills myself is just pure fun and enjoyment and seeking it out. Like, Rob, I know for you, when you come across something new that could help you or your clients, you go and like sign up for it. You want to learn more.
Mhm.
And that's the best way. It doesn't come from a prescribed method of study. And then in fact, if you think it is, it's already outdated. That curriculum is old. You need to be going to where the people are who are doing the experimentation.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. You want to get as close to it as you possibly can, so you get the best experience, and then the better experience that you get and understanding and knowledge, the better you can kind of share and transfer that over to people. Um, and I really wanted to kind of ask this because here on Surviving the Side Hustle, a lot of people listening, they have their typical 9 to 5 profession that they're working, and they're curious about starting something new. And oftentimes they're worried about losing or leaving that identity of who they were and stepping into this new role. So it kind of slows them down. And other times they might be afraid of not being able to come back to it. So what led you to realizing that, like, hey, you don't need to drop engineering to step into this new role?
No, definitely not. And there is some degree of respectability to say I'm an engineer as opposed to
Hmm.
say, hey, I'm a health coach. What is a health coach? People need help with that. Engineers might not know what I do, but people understand that that's a role in the world. So first thing is keep both. There's plenty of just go do it energy out there in the world that says quit what you're doing and just jump. No, I mean, I'm pretty responsible. I like my life. I like to buy groceries. Keep both jobs. Do both. In fact, that's the name of this podcast. It's the side hustle. So you do it on the side until you feel confident that that is going to take you where you want it to go. And you bring everything, all of who you are into everything you do. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So your care, patience, attention to detail, your creativity, your ability to figure things out in one area directly always goes to something new. It goes to your relationships, it goes to your work, it goes to your hobbies, and embrace that. If you compartmentalize yourself, you'll it's really hard to live that way. So I bring it. I bring it all.
I love that. And you had mentioned about how when you talk about engineering, people kind of understand it to a certain degree, and there is a certain kind of level of kind of like understanding. But people still might not understand to the fullest what mechanical engineering is, but they kind of understand it. But when people are saying, "Oh, you're a holistic coach or a health coach," people are like, "Oh, okay. Well, what is this?" So how have you been able to kind of explain that to people to bring it back through to make it a little clearer for people?
Well, first of all, I enrolled in many coaching programs, took courses, and finding this message is super important. And I'm not going to do it justice in answering your question, but there's anybody who is helping startups get off the ground will dive into this. And so the way I explain it now is I help brilliant, intuitive women who know that their symptoms mean something. And I don't really even say I'm a health coach unless somebody else asks. One of my clients called me a health detective, so sometimes I'll say I'm a health detective. And if somebody's like, "Oh, that's cool. What is that?" Then I'll go more. Other people say, "Okay, whatever," and move on, and the conversation will continue. So I'm not right for everyone. Whatever we do isn't always going to resonate with people. But if people are interested, that first introduction lets them know, like, I think I want to ask another question. I think that sounds interesting. And I have spent so much time networking and practicing what to say. I have so many different variations. I was really, really bad. I was really, really bad at saying what I did. Rambled, used all kinds of words. I'm still not great, but I'm putting in the reps. and it's a work in progress. And I enjoy that because every time I practice and I tell somebody, I see, does their face light up or do their eyes glaze over? Oh, I lost them. So I get to try again the next time. And when you have a side hustle, you got to be in it and have that perseverance and not quit. So yeah, ask me next year. I might have a different way of explaining what I do.
Yeah. See, I love that too um, because my professional shift, I guess I could say, is from strength and conditioning coach to what I consider now is a personal development strategist. And it's taken me forever to kind of figure out a label or a title for that. So like I've done everything from basically nothing to like, yeah, I'm just the coach, to like explaining fully out like, yeah, I help devise like plans and game plans and strategies for individuals like with their side hustle or profession, build up, get themselves better, like going out, like kind of like we were saying, where I just started rambling, talking about the entire thing that I do. But it took a while to kind of figure it out and hone it in, and it does continue to change and evolve, because I think part of entrepreneurship and the side hustle world is what you're doing is alive, and it continues to grow and evolve, and you help people in many different ways. So I love that you kind of brought that up there. And you mentioned helping a lot of people with a lot of different inflammations and things like that. And I want to now kind of dig a little bit deeper into it here, because I know so many people, specifically side hustlers and entrepreneurs, ignore a lot of these symptoms of health being off for so long, because they're like, oh, I just got to push a little bit longer, a little bit further. I got a deadline coming up. And they just kind of keep sacrificing, whether it's sleep, eating poorly, et cetera, et cetera. Why do they do that so much? And why is it not like, we know our health is all we have, like that should be the biggest and highest priority, but we so often push it to the side?
It seems that the goal is so close. If we just get this one thing, if we just do this, if we just launch this, and if it's a side hustle, you might not have a team. You might be doing everything yourself. So it's like, oh, I got to figure out this software integration. Oh, I got to do this social media thing. Oh, I've got to see these clients, because you feel this pressure. And so I would say there's a problem with structure, that if you're doing your side hustle with so much pressure and so much demands on your time, you might want to rethink that. Is it truly necessary? It might be. Like this might be something that's critical and you need to push through. So if you are going to push through, you need to schedule the downtime, to put it in your calendar. Because if you're going to work 16-hour days for a week, you got to give yourself 3 days off completely. You got to recover, and you got to recover in a good way, with good food and getting outside and moving your body, not some kind of debauchery, because that's not fueling your body. If you're not sleeping well, it's going to come crashing down. And during the day, if you're fueled by caffeine and sugar, you're depending on your age, if with each decade it gets harder and harder to recover from. But sure, you might be able to get away with that the closer to your 20s you are. But with each decade, those effects will compound. And we live in such a toxic world now, that we used to be able to get away with is harder. The food is not as healthy, doesn't have as many minerals. Our air and water, there's more. They could be better. So what 50 years ago, maybe grinding it out in your 20s, you could have gone further and not had any effects. I'm not seeing that now. I am seeing people who they push really hard, and it definitely comes into a big flare up, a big joint issue. And it's like they say, it came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, I can't move my shoulder. Or my lower back is I've never had any back problems, but now my back And so they think it's an isolated thing. They think like, oh, something is wrong with my shoulder. No, something is wrong with everything that led you to this place. And so there's no nutrition. The waste isn't moving. The lymph is stuck. The organs are in crisis. So that is what's causing it. And it's going to an area of weakness. Some people will have flare-ups with acne, with eczema. There's these things happen and people don't realize that they're connected. Like, oh, well, I'm just having this eczema flare up. Oh, it's totally related to your stress. And when you push through and you don't listen to your body, then the next thing is you go down the path of suppression. You say, this is in my way. I've got this headache again. Let me just silence the pain. Or let me just get that cortisone shot so I can move my arm because I got to get on a plane and I got to go do something. I'll take care of it next time. When has anyone ever had a cortisone shot and said, oh, that worked. I never had any problems ever again? No, it doesn't work that way. So yeah, the younger you are, you can suppress for a little bit, but you don't want to do that at all. Ideally, you would say, my body's giving me a message. What is it saying? And what do I need to do?
Yeah, I really love that. And there's like 5 different ways I was gonna bring the conversation here. But first thing I wanted to kind of mention is like you were talking about like grind, work, and we often say like, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or I'll sleep, get to it later, or like, yeah, or blah, 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 and work so much. And then when we do have our time, our downtime, it's not the same. Like you were saying, like years ago when you turned off or you weren't working, there's not as much stimulus. You could just sit and you could actually turn your brain off. But now like so you got screens on top of screens. I heard somebody say that like Netflix and some of these other organizations are now changing the scripts of their shows so that they are simplifying them because they're now second screens because people are on their phones on social media while they're listening to like something in the background. So it has to be simplified for that. So not only are you have the TV going, you got your phone in your hand and you're just nonstop stimulation. And then you're like, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to have comfort food to make myself more comfortable. And most of the time, comfort food is like usually the most unhealthy type thing. So then you're just refeeding into this. So after you do have that weekend off, you're really in worse shape than you were when you started the weekend and you going back into that next sprint season, even worse than before. And I want to keep going with what you're sharing here about how kind of diving a little bit further into how do you help people start to listen to their bodies? Because we do have all these constant notifications and other things taking our attention. How do you help somebody begin the process of paying attention to their body when they have so much other noise going on?
So the first thing is usually I'm not talking to anyone unless there's something they're in pain about. So I ask them to notice, well, what was happening before that neck locked up? What were you thinking about? What what email were you attacking your keyboard with? What what was happening? Is the first step is to connect the emotional with the physical because there's usually both happening. And then it's to notice that there is tightness or pain somewhere and to ask what else is going on that might be causing it. So often that's where the communication stops. People don't understand. They don't understand like, well, I also have like my stomach is in a knot, or I also have numbness in my feet. Um, but it's all connected. So it's asking, well, what else is going on? And that's when, if you're willing to keep asking questions, that's when you're willing to listen to your body. And that's when you're ready to work with me or anyone else who is going to help you connect those pieces.
Yo, what's up? Sorry for interrupting. It's me, Rob. If you've been listening and thinking, man, I just know I'm capable of so much more, but something's just really not clicking, well, I've got something for you. It's called the Prime Performance Personality Quiz. And in just a few minutes, you'll uncover what's actually slowing you down. So, whether it's a mindset block, energy drain, or a lack of clarity, this quiz is going to give you specific insights to help you build momentum again. Again, this quiz is free, fast, and honestly, freakishly accurate. So take it now over at survivingthesidehustle.com/quiz and stop spinning, start winning today. Yeah, I love that because you got to have a certain degree of interest, right? An interest in it, because if you're still in that situation where like, oh, I'm just going to continue to bury these signals, and you're not ready to really make change. And I wanted to ask, like, what are some of the most common signals that you see that later become bigger problems? Is it mostly just like how do you know someone's like on track for it? You're like, you could really use some education or paying attention, but I can see that you're down this path right now, and you can see some of those signals already going through. What are some of those things that you see individuals kind of ignoring?
Okay. Well, obviously, I see people who are in full-blown dysfunction they've got all the specialists on board, the alternative specialists, they've got all kinds of things going on. But let's go back, the beginning. You're healthy, you're pushing through, you're building your business. These are two things that you need to pay attention to. The first is sleep. Do you wake up feeling good? Is your mind racing all night? If you're wearing any kind of sleep tracking device, is it giving you good data? Do you get good deep sleep? I mean, after a while, you shouldn't need that. You should be able to feel whether you've got deep sleep, whether you got your REM sleep, how that was going for you. But if you've got data, you know that your sleep is where you recover. Rob, you know this really well with strength and conditioning. When you're working out, when you're lifting weights, that's not when you're building the muscle. It's in recovery, and you need more sleep to recover. The harder you lift, the more sleep you need. The more you push, the more you need to sleep. So if you can't get to sleep, if you're waking up multiple times, if you're having crazy dreams, if your mind is racing, you're waking up in a sweat, any of these things, that's not normal. That's the time to say, what's going on? Some of the things that could be going on. You could have poor sleep hygiene. You could have blood sugar spikes and dips. So then you get that dip in the middle of the night. So you wake up in a panic because your blood sugar dipped too far, because you're eating too many carbohydrates. And anyway, so there's a food thing going on there. There's hormone things that are causing your fluctuations. So there's many things. It's not just one size fits all, but there's a lot you can do on your own. So that's during the night. And during the day, if you're losing mobility, if you are unable to do basic movements, bend down and pick things up, lift your arms over your head without pain, if you're starting to feel stiff, like, I've been sitting, and you feel stiff and you're not, and that just keeps getting incrementally worse and worse, or you get that sharp, like, oh, I just really locked up my back, I don't know what, that's another sign. Because sure, there could be a traumatic injury to a joint, but there is also a lack of blood flow. There's waste accumulating. There's other organs that are being affected there, that you're pushing your body too hard. So that's a daytime thing, is look for your mobility, your tendons and ligaments in your joints, and nighttime, look at your sleep quality. And if those are out of balance, it's time to take it seriously.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I'm starting to think to myself, because doing a lot more podcasting and a lot more coaching calls, I find myself sitting at my desk way more, and I'm constantly like, oh man, and like trying to stand up and move around a little bit, like on the phone and stuff, and it makes me wonder. I'm like, geez, how do people do this for like 10 hours a day, 10 or more hours a day? And then they just go through their life and then wake up and they can't move or anything. And it really gives me a whole new perspective on when I was younger, and I would have somebody coming into the gym and they were like, oh, I want to start working out, but they couldn't even lift their hands over their head. And I'm like, how is that even possible? But yeah, it's crazy. Like the mobility is huge, and sleep is tough too, because there's so many suppressive tools or like on both ends too. Like if you're super tired, why not just have another cup of coffee? That'll just help. And people just pile that on and it builds up, right? Snowballs into a bigger issue down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, and, especially for women, who really are not designed for caffeine, that coffee it's now popular. I know it's, like, really coffee is supposed to be a super thing, but I will just say for women, for my clients, it burns out the adrenals, and there's deleterious effects. Same with alcohol. I go on record like, "Hey, I'm not too popular, but, this is you especially women, we're not metabolizing it that well, and it's gonna throw off our sleep for a whole week. So there is a way to push through, and I will just call that in the category of suppression. You can do things, you can take supplements to help you sleep and mask things. You can take things to help you stay awake. After a while, you'll say, "You know what? I want to know what life is like without all of this stuff." Supplements are meant to be supplemental when there is a deficiency. If Does anyone have a deficiency in caffeine? Does anyone have a deficiency in some kind of sleep aid?
Yeah, I don't think so. um, so what happens if though obviously the most extreme would be some terrible things, but aside from there like aside from dying, what are some other things that we can kind of like paying attention to like, okay, yeah, I have been pushing through very long because I know the sleep and stuff, but so I'm guessing cognitive performance declines, mobility and stuff too. Am I just gonna wake up one day and just gonna kind of like snap in half because I'm been sitting too long and I'm not out moving around and stuff? Or what
Of
are some
course
like
not. No, we see
okay.
people no, they just fall into working at 50%. Your creativity shuts down. You don't have blood flow in your there's so much distraction that you're training your brain to always be looking for something else to pay attention to. It's people tell me, "Oh no, I can multitask," or the notifications are fine, I get right back on task. No, you're training your brain. So you're affecting patterns. What happens when you're not getting great food, great sleep is that nutritionally, if we don't have the best fuel, then you're missing minerals. You're missing the fat and the protein. And then you're not rebuilding, and so your creativity suffers. Your ability to solve problems and do the things you need to do to get forward just take longer. That's what I found in my engineering teams is as soon as someone had something mysterious going on, I was like, you need to take the time to get better because you're phoning it in. And I can tell the clients are not happy. Your work is full of mistakes. Just check out and go take the time you need to get better. So when food isn't there, that's what happens. And then when movement and water isn't there, then the waste is not being drawn out. So you need elimination has to happen. Elimination happens through the bowels, through the skin, through respiration, through the exhale. If we're in panic mode and we're shallow breathing all the time, we're shutting down one of the modes of elimination. So we need to have all of this working well because our bodies, this, to rebuild, you need the good things to come in and the waste to go away. Just by living, just standing here, not doing anything, there's cellular waste. There's waste products, and those have to be moved out. And if we're not moving our bodies, we're not moving our lymph system. The best way to do it is go walk. You don't need to do a special mobility routine that's about tapping your lymph nodes. You do that once you're stuck. Like, oh, I got to focus on lymph drainage. Normally, you just go for a hike. You don't need to do that. So then that backs up. Then your liver backs up. And then when your liver doesn't function, you'll start seeing skin issues or you'll start seeing anger issues or there's emotional and physical things that happen. So don't let it get that hard. Don't wait till you get that.
Yeah. And one of the first things you said there was your ability to solve problems will decline, dropping down to like 50%, I think you said, which
Yeah,
is crazy because anybody listening here is at least in the entrepreneurial world. And how you make money as an entrepreneur is you solve problems. So if you're sacrificing your health to work a little bit harder, all you're doing is hurting yourself exponentially down the road. So we got to start paying attention to our health as much as a lot of other things with our business, because as you say, right, the health is the number one indicator of business performance, correct?
it is. It totally is. I have seen financial performance is tied to my team's health, whether that was running a company, running a department, running a worldwide team. I could tell you that how we were going to do financially was dependent on the health physically and emotionally. You might be healthy, but you have a child who's sick or a spouse who is not doing so well, and then your attention is totally divided. Everybody needs to be healthy because then you really bring it. And then you're also excited to do it. It's not like your team is showing up for like, oh, I got to clock in at work and do some work. You're excited to solve problems. And when you're doing it for yourself, that's everything. You didn't start doing this side work because it wasn't fun. There has to be some element of fun and
Yeah.
value and purpose.
Yeah, I love that. And so I've got a tricky question here that I was thinking as we were kind of talking about powering through here. Um, so we know, like, we're constantly always we're pushing, 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 putting our health to the side. And now we know, okay, we got to be more serious about not doing that. Where do we draw the line? When can we learn, or how do we know how far we have to power through without letting it get too far? Do you have any like tips or advice on how to pay attention to that? Because we can't we can't we can't expect to get the things done that we want to if we just totally stop and take 6 days off anytime one thing kind of pops up. So how do we draw the line in the sand?
So it's different for everyone, and it depends on what your capacity and your internal reserves are going into it. So before you start an intense period of work, where are you? Have you been eating healthy for the last 10 years and you're topped up on all of your minerals? You've got a great food regime, you know exactly what to do, you have a morning workout. Where are you with that? Or are you coming in with someone who has had issues with health before? And you know that if you go too far, you're going to have some kind of flare up of something. Your limits are going to be vastly different. And the only way to know where it is for you is to pay attention, is right where we started at the beginning. When some pain signal comes up, it's going to be different from the person who has a full complement of vitamins, minerals, proteins, fats versus someone who is on the pizza train and pizza and macaroni and cheese has been the diet. That person is going to have a much lower threshold. Push too hard, something's going to happen. So both of them though are going to be paying attention to, wow, when I'm sitting doing this work, this pain happens. So what do? I get a standing desk. I take breaks every 30 minutes. I go on YouTube and find some mobility exercises. So each person is going to have a different level that they can get to. And both of them, my advice is the same. As soon as you feel something that hurts. So Rob, you mentioned that, oh, you're sitting and then you notice like, hey, that doesn't feel well. That's your sign. So maybe you at the beginning you could sit for 8-10 hours and nothing happens. And now you sit for 2 hours and you notice like, oh, I don't feel so great. So there's your sign. Don't say, I'm not going to do anything. Of course you're not. You're a mobility guy. You're going to get up, you're going to move around, you're going to go for a run. And that's what people need to do for themselves is notice, bringing the connection back to feeling it in your body.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And one thing that I do for myself to kind of help myself get a better understanding of where my boundaries are on what I can handle and what I can't handle is by implementing different little challenges, like kind of setting little mini challenges for myself. Like, okay, I'm gonna whether it's like a fast or introducing some new thing where it gets me out of my comfort zone or a new workout routine or modality. I think that's cool because then it gives you an opportunity to kind of push the boundaries and test your thresholds without it being real life. Like you can still artificially create stimulus and stress so then you can kind of gauge how your body's feeling, but putting yourself through that, I think, is half of it. And I think what I'm hearing you share a whole lot about is that reflection and awareness. So challenging yourself, but then also checking in like, hey, how did I do? Like, yeah, I did go for a run. How did my body feel after that? And then relating that into like longer hours. And then you can understand like, wow, I've been working 3 20-hour shifts. Like this kind of reminds me of those things. So I think that challenging yourself, but then also pairing it with all of that reflection is huge. So I really appreciate you sharing that point about the paying attention to what it is because everybody is different too. And it's hard to give like a cookie cutter kind of thing, like, oh, everybody needs to do exactly this. And the other way too, like some people don't need quite as many hours of sleep. I don't believe all these people who are saying that they can function on only 3 hours of sleep. You definitely need more than that, but everybody is different. And I think that's very important factor there is that reflection and paying attention to what you've been doing recently as a starting spot. Um,
Yes.
but also, I believe there's another way to kind of get some insight too, correct? I
Yeah,
think you could take a
there's
quiz, right?
yeah. So I have a quiz. It's at yourhealthwithbeth.com, and it's only 10 questions. And you answer those questions and it'll let me know, and I'll give you the results on where you should focus. And it'll give you actionable insights and access to a private podcast.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. And you said it's 10 questions, right? Are they
10
quick questions or is it like a full thing we got to kind of fill out?
No, it's 10 simple multiple choice. Yep.
Oh, nice. Sweet. And the website URL for that again is
Yourhealthwithbeth.com, and there's a button on there that says take the quiz.
awesome. Well, Beth, I want to be courteous of our time. So if other people, is that the number one place to find you and get into your circuit, your world, or is there
Mhm.
anywhere else to kind of chime in to get connected with you?
I'm on the socials, but yeah, you can find, that yourhealthwithbeth.com is the landing page for everything about me. There's a newsletter you can sign up for. You can book a call with me. You can take the quiz. Yep, there I am. You'll find me on the socials as well, but yourhealthwithbeth.com is the best place.
Awesome. Well, Beth, I really appreciate you coming on. I really relate to a lot of things that you're talking about and sharing, and it motivates me because it for a long time, I feel like I'm the only person who's just kind of like in my world. I've always been like, you guys, there's got to be more. You got to do better. Like we can all do better for ourselves and stuff like that. So, as I'm kind of growing and being able to connect with other people through podcasting and technology and everything else, it's inspiring to see other people are also sharing great information and for other people so that they can connect and do better things with their lives. So I really appreciate you and this conversation. It was very insightful and taken away a lot of good information from it. But before I let you go, I want to ask you one final question. What is it that you hope people take away from your work in 5, 10, maybe 15 years from now? What is it that you hope the world and people change most?
I want people to know that your body wants to heal. It's not broken. It's not attacking you. I know people think that. It's not. It's trying to heal. You might not like what it's doing, but it is really trying to help you. So you have to ask, then listen, and then take action.
Wow, I love that. That's perfect. Ask, listen, take action. It's simple, but it can be challenging. And I hope that a lot of people are listening are taking that serious and they take those steps to it. So Beth, again, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Likewise, Rob. Thank you.
And that's it for this episode of Surviving the Side Hustle. If you found this valuable, the best way to support the show is to rate and review on Apple or Spotify. It helps get the show in front of more driven individuals just like you, and helps them discover the tools to get unstuck, break through burnout, and build something real. And you can always connect deeper with me, our guests, or grab free resources at survivingthesidehustle.com/Rob. Whether it's a strategy call, the Prime Performance Personality Quiz, some of our products, or just to check out our free content library. Connect with us over at survivingthesidehustle.com/Rob. And hey, remember this, you weren't meant to just grind. You were built to grow. So stay conscious, stay committed, and keep showing up. Peace, guys.